Hey YouTube, Brian LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, the 2025 Comic Con preview. 7 cons to attend this year. So let's take a sneak peek at some of the biggest cons for 2025. We're going to review 7 different cons that I think are worth your time and give you kind of a little bit of a sneak peek of what to expect, including creators, celebrity appearances, comic book exclusives. I have attended 4 of the 7 on the list that I'm going to review today. And I'll have links to those videos, previous videos that I've done in the description down below or in the video as well. And keep in mind that attending a con in person definitely has some benefits, obviously from being able to find books in the wild, but having grading opportunities on site and being able to drop off books, say with CGC, creator signature opportunities, and then certainly having community meetups with fellow YouTubers or comic book collectors. So definitely worth attending, some of these bigger cons in person. So let's get on to the list. So up first on our con list for 2025 is MegaCon in Orlando, Florida, running February 6th through the 9th, a 4-day con. And it is a good con to attend. Orlando obviously is easy to get to. It has all of the theme parks. And we'll take a look at some of the celebrity guests. The fact that it is in Orlando and there's some other things that can occur, Walt Disney, Universal Studios, to name a few. This con does draw a pretty good guest list from, actors, as we can see, Millie Bobby Brown, Ron Howard, and so Bryce Dallas Howard. So it does draw a pretty good list, Hollywood actors, but also does bring in a number of comic creators as well. And I'm just scrolling through the list, seeing Dolph Lundgren, Judd Nelson, so you can see the guest list. Let's see if we can get the guest, comic guest. Let's see. Comic creators, see some of the creators. Scott Snyder, Frank Miller. So you can kind of see the list as well. So this is a good show. I attended in 2024 for a single day. It does have a mix of pop culture, anime, cosplay, plenty to see. But if you were strictly there for comic books, there are definitely a number of comic vendors there. They have some exclusives that you can pick up. And one of the things that's interesting, like I said, it is in Orlando, Florida. And so there are a number of other things that you can do besides the con, right? You have Walt Disney World, you have Universal Studios. But MegaCon itself, they have some meet and greets. They have a Millie Bobby Brown this year, Smallville nights. But they do have this after-hour event in Universal Studios. So there's an additional fee from your con tickets, but you can actually go with other Comic-Con participants to Universal, and it's a closed event. So that may be something to look into if you're interested. And, scrolling down, they have a number of, after-hour parties, kickoff parties, after-hour parties. So a number of things that you can take advantage if you want to do stuff beyond just the con itself. So let's take a look at the ticket prices. They do have some deals on tickets. If you buy them early, which ends mid-January, January 22nd, so definitely want to check that out. When I attended for a single day, what I found was I went on a Thursday, and the general rule is the first day of the con is the slowest. Obviously, a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you have more families, more kids, and people tend to don't take work off. And so they may be just going on the weekend. So if you can attend on the early days in a con, a Thursday or a Friday, that will serve you well. It's just not as crowded. So you can definitely check it out. But MegaCon is one of those cons that I would recommend because of location. And like I said, there's a pretty good mix of comic vendors and other comic-related vendors and a good amount of celebrities, both actors and comic creators that makes MegaCon worth a visit. So up next, we have C2E2 in Chicago. It runs from April 11th through the 13th, a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they have a pretty good mix of, comic vendors and other vendors, artists, pop figures, action figures. I have never attended in person, but have seen a number of videos and have talked to some other comic book community members who have attended. And this is a decent show. So we can take a look at some of the tickets. They have some VIPs, some general admission. You can get a 3-day ticket for $119. And they draw some pretty good guests. Let's take a look at some of the guests. We'll do all guests. So they have a pretty good mix of comic book creators and some Hollywood actors and actresses. I did see that Denise Richards would be there from Starship Troopers, among other things. Greg Land, Herberto Ramos, Jay Lee. I did also notice, and here it is, John Boyega from Star Wars fame. He'll be there. I think that's a pretty big guest. I don't recall him being at too many other cons. So if interested in C2E2, definitely hit their website and be on the lookout for the show in April. Up next, we have HeroesCon in Charlotte, North Carolina, June 20th through the 22nd, a 3-day con. Now, this is a con that I attended this past year in 2024, and is by far my favorite on the list today. It is truly a comic con. I'd say 90% of the vendors are comic book related or creators and artists. It is in, like I said, Charlotte, North Carolina, and it is in a great little city area where you can stay in a local hotel, which walking distance of the convention center, a number of restaurants, so for after hours things. And what I found last year was that we were rubbing elbows with a number of the creators. They were staying in the same hotel that a big group of YouTubers were staying in. And we were having breakfast, seeing Scotty Young in the elevator. And so, you kind of had that extra outside of the con, elbow rubbing with some of the creators as well, and conversations in elevators or at breakfast, things like that. So it is one of the best pure comic cons because there are so many comic related vendors at this show. So let's take a look at the tickets. So tickets are currently on sale for this June event. They have a VIP and then a 3-day pass for $75. A 3-day pass for $75. You can't beat that. So you definitely want to check out HeroesCon. A large number of YouTubers attend. It is a big community event. They have a Saturday night art auction. So some of the creators are doing art throughout the weekend, and then it is auctioned off for charity on Saturday night in one of the hotels right next door to HeroesCon. So definitely want to check that out. Let's take a look and see if we can just take a quick look if they have the guest list updated. Well, here's Artist Alley. Let's see if they have the guest list up yet. They often will update this. This is being updated right up until the last, weekend of HeroesCon. So it doesn't look like they have a lot of updated information yet. It's still 6 months out from, the June kickoff of the show. But definitely check out, you can check their website for frequent updates as we get closer to the show. But can't recommend HeroesCon enough. So up next is the big boy that most people have heard of, San Diego Comic Con, running in, obviously, San Diego, California, July 25th through the 28th, a 4-day event. And I have never attended this con in person, but the big thing is that it is close to LA, Hollywood, so you have a number of big actors and actresses, movie stars show up at this con. And there also is typically some major announcements of upcoming TV projects, streaming service projects, movie projects that are announced at this con. It's one of the big ones. So let's take a look at some of the things. So you can see there's a lot of information here on the website. And let's see if we can, badge prices. So I know this is one of the trickier ones to get, because it's heavily attended, to get tickets for. So you need to get your tickets, early when they go on sale. And this is, I think, fairly early for the show, a July show. I thought it was typically a little bit later in the year, but you definitely want to check it out. And you do have the opportunity to, volunteer if you'd like, be able to get to go to the show, kind of be on the floor, but, spend a little time working. So that's San Diego Comic Con. One of the ones I would consider going to, but I think, the cost to attend this Comic Con, can get a little pricey. Obviously, flying to California, West Coast, and then the hotel, and so you have to consider that where your location is, because you will be spending a lot of money, potentially a lot of money on travel and hotel accommodations that could be cutting into your comic book, collecting budget. So something to keep in mind. Up next, we have Terrificon in Connecticut. This is a con that I have attended in the past, and I'll link a video for that as well. This is becoming one of those great shows to attend. And so this is August 8th through the 10th, a 3-day, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And what's great about Terrificon is location, location, location. It is at Mohegan Sun, which is a hotel and casino in Connecticut. And so you can drive in, park your car, and spend the whole weekend and not have to leave the casino, because the con is right there. It's right on site, and the casino offers obviously casino gambling if you'd like to gamble, but a number of restaurants and places to hang out after the con. And so this is becoming one of those shows that is becoming the hangout show as well, because of its location in like I said, in the casino. Now, from a con room floor, pretty good mix. There are a number of comic vendors, but a number of other vendors too. Like I said, anime, art, pop, action figures, a lot of different things. But they do tend to bring in a number of guests. TV, film, you can see here, and they bring in a good amount of content creators. So it doesn't look like they've updated the guest list, but you can sign up for their newsletter here on their website. But I have been there in the past. We can see here there's Kevin Eastman, John Romita Jr. There, I think last year, Keanu Reeves attended. So there's a number of creators and actors that attend this con because, again, I think it's because of the location. The fact that you're in this casino with restaurants and bars, it makes it a destination to go, not only to con, but plenty of other things to do. So definitely look into Terrificon. And their ticket prices are relatively inexpensive as well. We'll take a quick look at that. So $120 for a 3-day pass, $40 a day. Can't go wrong. Relatively inexpensive for the value that you get within the con and the creator opportunities as well. So definitely worth checking out if you're in the Northeast. So up next, we have New York Comic Con. This is October 9th through the 12th, so a 4-day event, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have attended New York Comic Con several times over the years. Typically like to go early in the week on a Thursday or a Friday before it gets too crowded. Now, New York Comic Con is a really big con in the Jacob Javits Center. A number of comic vendors, but a number of other vendors there as well. Pop culture, T-shirts, pop figures, a bunch of different things. And the thing about New York Comic Con is that a number of the big companies, the pop Marvel have big displays and different events within the con. There are a number of video gaming companies as well. And the Jacob Chapman Center is really a big center. Different floors. They have some of the panels on one floor, Artist Alley on another, and then the main hall where all the vendors are. And so definitely worth checking out. New York City Comic Con, obviously can be a little expensive if you're flying in or driving in and having to stay. It can get expensive. I was lucky enough to live pretty close by and be able to, take the train in or drive in, and spend $40-50 on train tickets, parking, that kind of thing, and then go home, at the end of the day. So not have the big expenses around accommodations for New York Comic Con. But it looks like their website has limited information so far because we're, 10 months out from before the event, but they do have some list of some of the creators. So looking at some of the comic book creators that will be available, but definitely check out their website and certainly want to plan ahead if you're making a trip to New York City. And then obviously you're in New York City, so if you've never been, you can sightsee around the city and see some of the other things that New York City has to offer. But here is some of the early guest list that has been announced already. New York Comic Con has a number of great panels, obviously some great cosplay, some really amazing things that you'll see in some of the cosplay as well. So definitely want to check that out if you are interested. Let's see if they have ticket information up yet. So New York Comic Con is one of the more expensive Comic Cons for sure. You can see $86 for a single day there. But again, you can sign up for their newsletter to follow along. I know as they get closer to the event, they will have all of the exclusives books that will be available, an updated exhibitor list, Artist Alley. So you definitely want to sign up if you are planning to attend next year. Last but not least is Baltimore Comic Con, and it runs in Baltimore, Maryland. It runs October 17th, 18th, and 19th, 3-day event. And I have never attended Baltimore Comic Con, but have heard good things. From a floor perspective, a good mix, comic vendors, and then all of the other pop culture type stuff, action figures, pop figures, T-shirts, related items to comic books. And they typically get a pretty good guest list as well. And so here's what they have announced so far. Interesting that they're both Baltimore and New York City Comic Con are in October. So, obviously, that may hinder, people being back-to-back, I think are almost back-to-back weekends, being able to travel to both. But we can look at some of the guest lists they have announced already. Chris Claremont, you've got David Finch. So definitely a good list and a good people that, they have announced already. Let's take a look at tickets. So it looks like they have a VIP package for $190, and then you can do a 3-day admission for $88, which is relatively inexpensive. Since I have not attended, I don't know what the accommodations cost are in the area of Baltimore, but I'm sure there are a number of options. Baltimore's, one of your bigger cities, so you can definitely go check that out. You can see the single-day ticket prices, the first day, Friday, a little bit less expensive than the weekend as well. So if you're interested in Baltimore Comic Con, definitely check that out. Check out their website. But you can also find a number of videos of tours of previous cons. On YouTube, just do a quick search on any one of the Comic Cons that we mentioned here today, and you'll see some previous year's videos and kind of get a sense for what the con floor will look like, the kind of look and feel, and what type of vendors are there as well. So I hope you enjoyed the 2025 Comic Con preview. Now, these are not all of the shows that are out there. I've highlighted just 7 of some of the bigger shows that happen around the country. There are a number of smaller cons, weekend cons, hotel cons it seems since kind of we're out of the COVID-19 bubble now that there's a resurgence of, Comic Cons. It seems like, I know for me personally, living in the Southeast, that there's an opportunity almost any weekend to go to some type of show, whether it, medium size, small size. So, keep an eye out for them. But I'd love to hear down in the comments what you think of the list that I put together, the 7 that we mentioned here today. But what are some of the other smaller shows or local shows to you that you enjoy going to that may be worth somebody else's time? So let me know. Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you at one of these cons sometime in the new year.